once again, thank you for joining me on this voyage to learn a little bit more about your body and perhaps even chiropractic. But this is one of a series of little videos just talking about how your body works, and we're going to take particular areas of the body and just focus on them and quickly show you how they work. It's not meant to be in any massive detail, it's just to give you a bit more knowledge about who you are and how your body functions. My name is John Rees, I'm a chiropractor. I'm based in Ilkley in West Yorkshire, and details of our clinic can be seen here and here. Okay, so we're going to talk today about the knee. And the knee is a hinge joint. This diagram shows the bones that are involved and associated to the knee joint. The patella here at the front, the kneecap, the top of the tibia, which is obviously one of the lower leg bones, which as you can see is split into two parts, the medial and lateral plateaus, and then obviously the femur, which is the thigh bone, and it ends up in two condyles, the medial and lateral obviously, that engage respectively with the medial and lateral plateaus of the tibia. This is just an x-ray to show the bones associated to the knee, and obviously you can see the gap between the bones. Obviously it's more excessive on an x-ray because an x-ray only shows bones. It doesn't show the soft tissues that are also associated to the joint. But if you look at the top, you can just see a slightly whiter image, almost hemispherical, and that's where the kneecap is. Here we're looking at the front of the knee when the knee is in the flexed or bent position. And the most obvious things to see here are again the medial and lateral condyles, and this shows the cartilage that is associated with them. And they sort of glide in a pendulum motion, and they sit again on the medial and lateral menisci, which sit in the tibial plateaus. You'll also see here the anterior cruciate ligament, which we call and you will have heard known as the ACL, and also the posterior cruciate ligament, and that's known as the PCL. The ACL and the PCL really are there, particularly the ACL, to stop the upper leg, the thigh and the upper body almost shearing off at the knee as you're moving, because your momentum of the upper body is affected at the knee, because obviously your foot and your lower leg are sort of stuck to the ground as you have the foot on the ground, so the momentum is causing you to shear at the knee. And these two ligaments, as I say, particularly the ACL, is there to stop the shear effect of the femur on the tibia. Of course, many people have heard of the ACL injuries that sports people get, and the reason that occurs is that in a sporting arena, particularly in football, when you have studs on, or rugby, and you have your foot planted in the turf, and then you have a rotational movement, that can shear the ACL in particular, and sometimes the PCL, and that's why you get that injury through the rotational effect of the movement of the upper leg against the lower leg. If we look the rear here, again we can see the condyles, and again the menisci and the ACL and the PCL. Also we can see the two of the major ligaments, the lateral and collateral ligament, which assist to stabilize the knee, because obviously it has to move, but on certain times, or half the time, it's taking all your weight, and therefore it has to be stable. This shows the tibial plateaus and kind of shows quite easily the sort of hollow saucer shapes that are sat there to accommodate the two condyles. The interesting thing about the two condyles on the femur, at the bottom of the femur, is that they are each of slightly different circumference length. And so when the knee closes or the leg straightens, one of the condyles moves a little bit further than the other, such that it creates a slight rotation, a slight locking effect of the knee, such that when the knee is taking all of your weight, as the leg is straight, of course it's slightly more stable. As a consequence of that though, when the knee is needed to be bent, there is a little muscle at the back of the knee called the popliteus that contracts, and because it's on the diagonal, when it contracts, it unlocks and it rotates the femur in the opposite direction such that you can bend the knee. As you'll see here, the lateral and medial menisci shown sitting in the tibial plateaus accentuate the cup shape, the hollow shape, the saucer shape of the respective plateaus. Interesting also that the medial meniscus is much more securely tethered to the tibial plateau than the lateral meniscus. Interestingly, when you get another injury to the knee, which is again another rotational injury, because the medial meniscus is more firmly tethered than the lateral meniscus, the torsion caused on by the medial condyle of the femur against the strongly tethered medial meniscus can cause a split or a tear with that rotational injury, which doesn't have such a negative effect on the lateral meniscus because it gives a bit more because it's not secured to the tibial plateau in the same fashion that the medial meniscus is tethered to the medial plateau. We're showing the condyles here, but also what we're showing is the location of the capsule. And every joint has a capsule, which is a elastic, spherical, ligamentous tissue, and it encloses every joint such that it allows the housing of the joint lubricant, the synovial fluid, which, like any moving part in any joint, is required for the motion to occur. Now, here is the lateral view, which really just puts into perspective all the things we've been said before, and you can see the position of the femur, the tibia and the patella, and the cartilage that covers both the tibia and the femur. Now, what you'll also see is just north of the cartilage in the femur and just south of the cartilage in the tibia, you'll see a sort of wiggly, almost straight line, and we're showing now the zone in between is called the growth plate. And all long bones only grow from the ends. So when you're growing up until the end of puberty, the cells in this small zone, they subdivide, and then of course they proliferate, and that causes the growth. But once you've got to the end of puberty and the cells decide to stop dividing, because this growth plate just fuses to the rest of the bone, and you end up with the length of leg and length of bone that you have. Clearly, we also show the joint space here, which is in every joint for movement purposes. We just thought we'd just show, because people know of the quadriceps, and some people ask why the quadriceps are called the quadriceps, and that's just because it's made up of 4 muscles, and these 4 muscles are shown here. And then finally, we're just showing some other muscles, 2 muscles that make up the adductors, and those are the muscles that kind of hold your legs straight. When you walk, if you didn't have the adductors, your legs could go out to the sides. The adductors keep your legs moving in the center line. And here we're just showing 2 of the 3 hamstrings, and obviously the hamstrings bend the knee, and the quadriceps, which we spoke about before, they straighten the knee. So that is our short introduction to the functioning of the knee. There are many other things we could have said, but I think we've given you enough information so that you have a little bit more understanding of how the knee functions. We as chiropractors do treat knee conditions and a myriad of knee conditions and knee injuries, from sporting injuries to osteoarthritis, a number of other problems. We do have treatment methodologies for assisting those. So if you have a knee problem, please feel free to contact us. As I say, my name is John Rees. I'm the chiropractor based here at Ilkley Chiropractic Clinic, and we look forward to hearing from you should you feel that we can assist you. And as we say, our contact details are either side here, and we very much look forward to hearing from you soon, and also for you watching another of our videos that we're currently producing in regard to how our body works. Thank you for watching. See you again soon. Bye bye.